Are we getting a new, more transparent Supercell, or was yesterday's State of Gameplay blog post just more lip service? Clash Ninja is with us to break down the announcement, Reddit's reaction, and to go through what's ahead for Clash in 2026. We're the mods of r/Clash of Clans. Sam and Spencer are here with me. I'm Rick. This is Reddit Talks Clash.
What are we calling this? Is this a podcast?
Red Clash.
Yesterday, Supercell posted the State of Gameplay and what's ahead blog post. This kind of open communication we don't really see all that much. Let's welcome Clash Ninja to the podcast, and Ninja, you take us off, and I want to hear your initial reaction to the little news drop we got.
Hello. I must say, when I saw the first draft of that post, I was quite surprised by the sort of openness of it. And also seeing that chart showing the sort of lifespan of Town Hall 18 so far. I love looking at numbers and stats and looking at how we had various milestones and points throughout, was it the 4 months we've had that Town Hall level. It's interesting seeing how the changes have impacted things. I think the highlight, or the thing that stood out most for me, was the point at which 3 stars and 1 stars were almost equal, sort of indicating the fine margins between a perfect attack and a sort of catastrophic failure.
There's a lot of days where it's probably just the attack I've been using sometimes, but it feels like I'm getting nothing but 1 or like 1 stars or 3 stars. Even though that's not what the stats show anymore. But yeah, when we started off Town Hall 18, that's what the meta was. It was just all meteor golems all the time, and very high rates of both triples and 1 stars. And they said that's a problem. I know, like, a lot of people were having a hard time enjoying the game early on in Town Hall 18, and that was probably one of the hidden reasons that no one knew about that was contributing a lot to a lot of the discontent. Kind of the big message that I'm taking away from this is just like they're kind of reiterating their commitment to balancing the game, and they've cited multiple balance changes already. We're still fairly early into Town Hall 18 if we're being realistic, and yeah, we've had a couple major big balance changes that we haven't seen in the past from them. Like, stuff will get emergency nerfs sometimes, but they've been taking bigger swings at balance, and I love it. And like, this data is awesome too. Looking at this, there's a graph, which is always super fun to talk about in an audio format. I'll put a link to the article here so everyone can see it too. But yeah, it shows the hit rates broken down in high legends, ranked, and all of legends, the 3-star and the 1-star rates from November through to today, and how those have been affected by the balance changes. First of all, when you guys do pull this up, there's gonna be some massive looking swings there, but just you can kind of discount the ones right at the start of a Legends League season, just because all the higher Legends players get dumped and they get to come dunk on all of us mere mortal lower league players. 2 balance changes so far that are really tracked on this. The first one in January, nerfed meteor golem wall damage, nerfed totems, added the decay. Sneezy got nerfed, Longshot got nerfed. It didn't really move the needle all that much. I would have expected a bigger shift. How did you guys feel after the first balance change in January?
It's interesting looking at the graph because it's kind of hard to read with all the volatility in just Legends resetting. But yeah, I think they did after that January balance, things did feel a lot easier. But also, I think just the thing is the meta has been swapping and changing a lot more in such a short time frame in Town Hall 18. I mean, we've already had, I feel like, 3 different metas, and it's crazy to think it's only been out for about 4 or 5 months, which I think, I don't know if that's what they want to do, if that's their new plan, to keep aggressively balance changing and giving us new things, but it is quite striking how they're clearly happy to keep changing it.
One of the things addressed in the blog post was just like how they didn't call out meteor golems specifically. I don't think, but it was all meteor golems as far as Town Hall 18s go. That's the only thing that was really working. It's the only thing people were doing. I don't know if high risk, high reward is kind of thing, but just like the high rate of 1 stars really made it not a fun meta.
I think the factor there is we've had, prior to that prior to the Town Hall 18 release, we'd had, I don't know, 4 or 5 years of a weaponized Town Hall where you're used to troops pathing certain ways, the RC heading towards the Town Hall. And with it suddenly not becoming weaponized, you're almost having to throw away 4 or 5 years of muscle memory and previous knowledge to adapt. And I think that was when we were seeing a lot of one-star attacks because people were using, I don't know, maybe route riders or other defense targeting troops that would just waltz on by the town hall and leave them with a really high damage one-star attack. And I think also it's funny thinking back to the meteor golems when they first came out, because we'd obviously had them as a event troop at the end of Town Hall 17, and in true social media fashion, there was a lot of complaints saying, they were weak, they were boring, they weren't good enough to use. And then we got one of, the most powerful troops we've seen with the Town Hall release.
Yeah, and then also the long shots, I think, combined with the Town Hall not being a weapon, just really screwed everyone up early on. And to be fair, that it's not what you want, having either 3-star or 1-stars. The whole point with 2-stars, that should be the kind of middle balance, which most people are getting. You shouldn't be having people who you basically go for broke. It's not a healthy meta. So at least they did sort that out fairly quickly.
Some of that you can attribute to base design around like a much stronger long shot than what we got. Realistically, it didn't move the needle a whole lot, but what did move the needle was pretty quick after that. We had another balance change that introduced the massive new throwers. It was that buffed the throwers in the gauntlet. It nerfed meteor golems again. This time HP and DPS, and most of the strong defenses. And this is also the one that had the modifier changes as well. So the huge swing on hit rates in ranked and legends especially came at the end of January when everything became all throwers all the time.
Yeah, I think at the time, one of my concerns was there was a lot changing all in one update. We saw, like you say, the modifiers, which, that affects everything across the board. So that's almost like a stealth buff to everything by making those weaker. And then not only did we see a broad range of troops get changed, we also saw some fairly substantial equipment changes too.
Yeah, it was interesting the way they talked about the life gem and how like they had been kind of buffing it repeatedly, and it just took a huge shakeup to really kind of make it evident that like, oh, maybe you didn't need all this buffing. It's been strong all along. It was just outshone by some other equipment.
And I was quite surprised to see the torch buff in that update as well, because despite a lot of complaining about the torch when it came out, when it was used properly with the right troops, it's actually surprisingly effective. So that becoming even stronger, almost to the point it was mirrored, the sort of leaked values, which everyone was quite happy to see. That's a real strong wooden equipment to mix things up if you want some variety.
I do wonder, just as we get more and more equipments, it just becomes that people don't even realize what is potentially stronger or better to use at the time, because once you get comfortable with the strategy, even content creators and pros, you're going to get comfortable with the equipment is good, and it might take a bit longer to actually notice changes in the meta when things are buffed, when things are nerfed, just with equipments, just because there are so many of them now.
Yeah, especially with how they tend to do a lot of their balancing based off use rate and win rates of all these individual pieces. The torch was good all along. It is not ever like the most popular piece of equipment to use, but it was always usable and good. And then with the life gem too, like a lot of their data was saying like no one uses the life gem. Maybe it needs a buff, and then they buffed it repeatedly, and it turned out like it probably didn't actually need that. It just people needed to get comfortable using it, start experimenting more, and bring it into the popular meta.
Which is interesting, because does it not make you question that maybe just judging by hit rates and people's just usage of equipments and troops isn't maybe the best way to balance the game?
Yeah, it's just a lot of times people's opinions will just be wrong. In fact, I mean, we're looking at like the third big change graphed out on here was the release of the Duke. So of course well, once we got the Duke, hit rates jumped up to a little higher, and then you can see they kind of stayed high through that boost period where everyone had max Dukes, max equipments, and then they dropped. But where they dropped to didn't really drop. It wasn't really all that different from the previous season before the Dukes released. So, well, I was out here repeatedly on 2 different podcasts saying the Duke's OP and probably needs a nerf. The data from Legends, high and low Legends, and ranked mode wasn't really showing that like the introduction of the Duke mattered all that much as far as hit rates go. So a lot of people were calling for nerfs of the Duke. I was, and we haven't seen one yet. And this kind of explains why. Is because the impact of the Duke overall hasn't really been felt yet.
That said, they did say they are monitoring the Dragon Duke, which did give me the impression they're at least aware people are maybe not happy with how it's balanced. So, but then if it's not showing the data, they might not do anything about it. We'll see.
I think the key is letting the dust settle when something new's added, because it takes time for people to get used to using it. It takes time for base builders to adapt to traps for it and making it less effective against certain layouts. And if you release something and then within a week you're making additional changes, that can be a little bit premature. Sometimes it just takes time to bed in. And looking at the data here, it looks like that's the case with the Duke.
In this section also, they called out that Dragon and Yeti will be getting levels in the next update. Did they say, or just soon or whatever?
I think they said the next one.
Yeah. So like it said like Dragon and Yeti among other troops. So I haven't felt like we needed a Dragon level.
The Yeti's good. The Yeti's good at 18 as well, even with modifiers.
Yeah, and I haven't felt like we needed a Yeti level either. We're of course going to be getting more upgraded defenses with that update, so perhaps it balances out. There's not a whole lot of defenses left, really, but Dragon and Yeti are both familiar attacks to people who've been using them for essentially Dragons, especially more so for years. So the first part of this whole blog was talking about wanting to bring diversity of attacks into the game, and I think they've largely done that at least the last month or two.
Yeah, I agree. Like this week, I looked through my defense log for ranked, and I'm still seeing meaty golems. I'm still seeing, well, obviously throwers. I'm even seeing electro titans in there because they got a level. They got some buffs. A lot of dragons and even e-drags. They got some big changes across the board, and they are effective even with modifiers.
The question I wanted to get at with Dragon and Yeti levels coming is like, do you think it's healthy for the game to bring back those like familiar metas that people have been relying on for a while the game is fairly diverse right now at Town Hall 18? So adding dragons back into that mix, I mean, are you excited about that?
I mean, personally, no, but at the same time, there are people who like to use certain strategies and stick with them throughout multiple Town Hall levels. And if that makes the game more fun for those players and they're not broken, I kind of think, yeah, fair play to you. Let those guys get their troops and get to use them. For example, like I love using Hogminer Hybrid at the lower Town Hall levels still. People say, oh, Fireball and Witches is better, but I like using that at the lower levels. So if that could be get new levels that make it more viable at higher Town Hall levels, I'd be pretty chuffed, despite most people not really caring about those levels. So I kind of think, it's a game at the end of the day. If people want to play it how they want to play it, and it's not a negative impact, I think, yeah, let's go for it, give them their troops.
Right now in Legends, there is a big diversity of attacks too. You listed a bunch of your stuff. In my defense log, I'm seeing, like Meteor Golems, Drag Riders, Super Witches. I got triple meme Super Miners the other day. It was wild. Titans and Yetis, and I'm seeing a lot of different attacks. So the diversity in Legends, at least the level of Legends I'm in, people are finding success with a lot of different stuff, and it's awesome. So I'm not really looking forward to like a dragon level, but also like it doesn't necessarily mean the dragons are going to be viable in Legends or even under these modifiers too. Like if a level of dragon comes out that makes it easier for people to triple in lower ranked, I'm kind of fine with that. especially with the changes coming to CDB that we'll talk about in a minute.
I was hoping that we would see more Super Archer blimps and Super Wizard blimps return, because the early update for the balancing patch for January changed those. But I've not really seen those come back at all. I mean, have you guys seen those make a return?
I haven't seen one done personally. I've seen videos. I think it was I want to say Big Country put a video out like the other day about Super Archer blimps that I assume was at Town Hall 18 in Legends mode, but I haven't watched it yet because it's I don't know, like I feel like I spent a lot of my life doing Super Archer blimps, and it's just not it. I haven't had enough space to where I'm getting nostalgic and missing it. So it's not anything that I'm finding interesting or compelling to get back into. If I start seeing it in my defense logs and it starts working a lot, then like yeah, I'll end up having to do it again. But I'm really enjoying where the game is right now, because you're able to do warden charges and fireballs, and you could do the rocket loons, and I don't know, man. I'm really happy with the diversity right now after all these balance changes.
Yeah, I agree. I'm same opinion.
It's very healthy to finally have multiple ground and multiple air strategies which are all viable. I actually cannot think of the last time when that was the case.
Realistically, I'm trying to think, like, if I'm looking at my
It's
defense
when, like,
logs right now, I'm seeing the most varied attacks that I'm being hit with that are tripling me. Like, a lot of it's still throwers. I think throwers are still like the dominant attack meta right now, but there's always going to be something that's dominant as well, and it hasn't been throwers until the recent history. So I'm fine with that as well. Like, we're getting new stuff. Like, do you think we could use a level of root riders? Are you wanting to get back to the root rider meta?
I
No.
don't I think the problem is if you constantly feel like you need to give another trooper level because it's fallen out of fashion a bit, it just you're gonna end up just breaking it slightly, and you're gonna make something overpowered again. I think it's fine that not all troops, not all troops have to be in favor at every single given moment. It's okay for them to come in and out of the meta, and I do think if they I like that how they've been tweaking it more aggressively recently, but they can't be too aggressive. And every time something just falls off for a month, they just buff it, because then it'll get a little bit ridiculous. So I think we can let Root Rider settle after a good few years now.
Yeah, and people are using root riders now. Like,
Yeah, they still work.
yeah, like this guy Watch Ace has been putting out root rider videos lately that are working a lot. I think Shock did a root rider video not so long ago. Like you can use them in modifier leagues with success if you know what you're doing. So a new level is probably what's needed to get the masses back into it, but we'll have to see. But speaking of ranked, there's the next section on this document deals with ranked. Largely, I think the improvements to rank that they're talking about coming soon are going to be like improvements to the UI and improvements to the communication about how ranked really works. They want to make it easier for players to understand, and they want to make it easier to take breaks from, which sounds like they're going to be extending the you get a 1 week grace period before you demote. It sounds like that might be getting extended. Anything else stand out about the ranked mode changes?
No, I think you've pretty much summarised that. It's more tweaking and quality of life than. I mean, I think the rank mode is probably one of my favourite additions in recent times. I love the format. I love the modifiers. So I don't think it's broken and needs anything major to adjust it. I think it's just tweaking the numbers, letting people take more of a breather without getting demoted, and upgrade heroes or doing whatever they want to do, go and touch grass. And I think it's in a good place.
Yeah, taking a break from ranked is like, I mean, if you want to not play for 2 months, especially right now as a Town Hall 18, you're going to drop to the 18 floor is what, League 25?
Yeah, I can confirm I made it there a week or so ago.
If you want to take the summer off and, go live your life and come back, then you're looking at from League 25 back up to Legends is going to take you 2-3 months.
Mm-hmm. I'm in it for the long haul again.
Yeah, that's if you demote every single time. So, like hopefully they're looking at ways to do that, like FOMO and the pressure. Like I don't think you should be able to free ride your ranked league forever. I don't know exactly what a fair break is before you start having league decay. I don't know, but at least they're looking at it.
The demotion isn't necessarily the problem. It's how brutal it is to get back to where you were when you do want to get back into it. So I kind of think there should be ways to, if you are stomping in a league and you're top three or something, either getting a double demotion, double promotion, or have the option to say, for example, you were previously in Electro 33 and then you've gone back down to the floor. You can jump back in at, say, Electro 32. So you're 1 week behind where you were. It's probably going to take you a week to get back up to speed and learn your strategies again. And then you haven't got that 2-month grind where you're likely to burn out again.
Yeah, I do agree. It's most rank systems have in other games or have something like that where if you're doing ridiculously well, you do just get pushed up quicker because your elo is high and you're clearly mismatched your skill level. Most games will do it like that. So they should probably revisit how kind of almost hard coded those leagues are because it will just take too long.
I mean, I think that's a small tweak to make. It's not massive. That could be easily done, I think.
Yeah, there's a lot of like small things they could do to probably really do it.
I think they're very open to that, which is a good thing. They clearly knew that the rank mode wasn't finished properly when they released it.
The Town Hall 18 floor is the same as the Town Hall 17 floor. So if you give 18s a higher floor, that's going to shave off, to 3-4 weeks out of that. Maybe you could still face demotion after, after your second week of not participating, but then 1 league per week, every consecutive week of inactivity, maybe that stretches out. Like you basically can take 2 weeks off before you demote, and maybe the next one is 2 weeks and then 2 weeks, and that's going to slow the big demotion train. And yeah, skipping back up would be a real nice way to get players re-engaged and interested in trying again. Like if you could double or triple promote, but also snuck in to the ranked mode section for no discernible reason that I can tell. They made probably the most popular announcement in this whole thing is that we're finally going to be able to use our heroes in friendly challenges or friendly wars while they're upgrading heroes and pets.
Yay!
I mean, that's something people have been asking for years, and there was always pushback from Supercell. So it is nice to see them finally concede that people want to try things out while they're unable to, fully be effective in war or rank mode.
Yeah, I personally haven't felt like too slighted over that one until recently, because I'm rushing a new account up. I don't have my heroes for 3 weeks out of the month, and then I bring them back for CWL, and I don't really have a good feel of like what I'm capable of until I go into these war attacks. Just being able to experiment with these heroes down at all the different levels is going to be massive for me. And also, like, now I'm just that much more likely to do friendly wars because I've been completely ignoring that because my heroes are normally down. When they first showed us this blog post, I was like, how is Reddit going to pick this apart and hate it? And how's Reddit going to find a way to be against this first? But the response has been fairly neutral, on which by Reddit standards is amazing.
And also slightly unsurprising, as to be fair, half of this blog post is pretty scarce on detail.
Yeah.
There's not even much to get mad about, to be honest.
I don't know, they'll find a way.
I don't want to pick apart like all the lack of detail in it too much. Like when we get to the ore section, that's like sure. This is such a big step in the right direction for them because we've been just begging, like, just tell us what's going on. Tell us the thought process behind some of this stuff. What's the reasoning?
I do wish they posted on Reddit, not on Twitter, but Reddit.
Yeah. Like the people who are going to read it are, the most thirsty for this information. Like just you don't have to give detailed roadmaps to satisfy people, and this shows it. Like I kind of wonder if because we're always asking for more and better communication. And the way they've done that in the past is like going to produce a half-hour Inside the Builder Hut video, which those are great and those are awesome, but it takes time and it takes money. And like really, like all we needed was just this half AI written blog post, that at least has some some substance and like a little. It's a little more than like we hear you, but I don't know. It's a big step in the right direction. And I want to just positive reinforcement.
It's so much better than the "we hear you" stuff because so much their communication lately has always been reactive. When the goal pass changes were announced, those controversies, they came in a day or two later, like, "Oh yeah, guys, we hear you," which is obviously good. I appreciate that, but I'm glad they're actually being proactive and taking these kind of steps rather than just completely panicking whenever the community has a little uproar and then coming in and try to do some damage control. I mean, to be fair, this isn't the first time they've done it. I know they've kind of weirdly teased a few random like balance changes and stuff in the past to get the community's feel, but this is just so much better than the reactive stuff they've had recently.
Moving us into this next section, talking about Legends, like you can still trickle info in and be not specific, but still let people know the path forward. Because in Legends, there's two lines I wanted to call out in the Legends section. They're talking about structural changes to Legends that culminates in a more competitive experience for the top roughly 10,000 people. And then they also said that people are going to progress through individual layers within Legends League. So from that, like that's not a detailed plan on how Legends is going to change, but we can extrapolate, we can infer. To me, it sounds like they're going to subdivide Legends into different specific, mini leagues. Like do we get a Legends 1, 2, 3, or it's not Legends 1, 2, 3 anymore? But like, are they going to divide that up even further?
Yeah, is maybe Legends only going to be the top 10K?
I think just quickly going back to the openness of the blog post, I think that the way to look at it is those guys have got probably an 18-month plan with people working on different aspects of that for the next 9 months in chunks in parallel. So they're looking at all these things and complaints from the perspective of they understand the big picture and everything that's coming in the next 18 months. As a creator, we never have that much foresight, but we often know what's coming in the following update or maybe even the one after. So we can see a fragment of the vision and we can see where they're headed with the changes. But the issue is the regular player, and probably even like, Sam here, who doesn't have NDA access, you guys are in the dark, but it's very difficult when you know the knowledge to put yourself in the shoes of someone who doesn't know the knowledge to make sure you're correctly communicating things that is not going to end up looking silly in 3 to 6 months' time when you have to change something, but also lets them know that there is a plan, there is method, there's a big idea, and it's not just people making changes willy-nilly every however many weeks blindly. That there's a big picture, and this is like the first glimpse of what that big picture is, so that people go, oh, that's why they did that. Oh, now that makes sense.
Excellent point. Thank you. All right, Legends. I'm looking forward to seeing what that does. Because Legends is wide open, and Legends is getting giant too. Like we started with 100,000 players in Legends, so there's been 5 Legend seasons, I believe, by my count. The number of players in Legends was initially 100,000. And then in the successive seasons, that moved up to 123,000, then 135, 143, and the season that just ended a couple days ago, 153,000 players were tracked in Legends according to ClashSpot, which I believe is everyone. Like ClashSpot should be pretty accurate, if not perfect.
Yeah, I think it is.
To see Legends grow by 50% in 5 months, a little shorter than 5 months, is wild. Trying to balance Legends around 153,000 players, where in a month it's going to be 163,000, maybe, that because Legends keeps growing. It's much easier to get into. No, it's harder to get into Legends than it is to demote out of it. You just have to kind of be there. So with Legends continuing to grow, trying to target something to give the top 10,000 a more competitive experience, I'm all for that. And 10,000 is huge. Like to think, okay, like 10,000 out of 153 this last season is kind of small, but the line for 10,000, the cutoff, you could have been in the top 10,000 if you had 5,470 trophies. So 5,470 was the cutoff, and that line hasn't really even shifted that much from the first season, because if you go back to November, the cutoff for the top 10,000 is 5,373. So when we're looking at the high legends in that graph that we talked about at the start, like high legends league, they clarify it as like above 54,000. So if it kind of feels like their definition of high is about that 10,000 player amount. Do you feel like 10,000 is a good amount? Is it kind of arbitrary?
I think it's a good starting point. I mean, I was surprised that once modifiers came along, the amount of people unhappy with how difficult Legends League was, especially at Town Hall 18. I kind of thought this is what people have been asking for, things to go back to the old days where things were hard. And then suddenly everyone's up in arms saying, now it's too hard, it's not fun. It's like, well, you can't have it both ways. Either you have your Town Hall 16 plus 320 minus 320 days, or now you have to actually get good. But once again, like with most things, the skill gap between those guys at the top and your regular Legend League player is probably even greater than the gap between the people in Legends and the people playing with no modifiers at all. So it makes sense to try and keep them happy by scaling things accordingly.
I also just think, just generally, Legends League it was kind of left out in the whole ranks changes. It kind of felt like they just left it there and knew they had to deal with it later because it's still completely inconsistent with how the rest of ranks works. I mean, the fact that you start, I wonder if they'll change the fact that you start on this weird arbitrary 5,000 trophies, because basically 5,000 trophies doesn't mean anything anymore. It's now you're not in that kind of linear progression system. And I do think, I mean, top 10k, that's still actually not that many people when you think about the top level of Clash. So I think that's probably pretty reasonable, and they can always adjust it, or however they decide to divide people up.
I finished 55-17 on 3 days ago on the 22nd. So I finished with 5,517 trophies. That put me place number 6347. And I don't feel I had a good Legend season. I think I benefited from a really OP Duke strategy that I took to fairly easily. The point Ninja's making that Legends, especially being 153,000 players now, is really, really broad spectrum of skilled players, and that is still in like the top tier of skilled players. To even promote into Legends is difficult now if you're coming out of Electro 33. So how do you balance that? And I think the answer is you make a higher league for the ultra elite.
So what do you think? Top 10k is far too high? Would you say top 5k, 1k?
I think just seeing the fact that I was in the top 10k makes me doubt that it's like a meaningful number. Like, this, to be super humble. But I don't know. Like I'm glad they're gonna try something.
I think Legends comes down to just having a consistent 4 weeks. I learned in ranked that it doesn't matter if you have a load of banging 3-star attacks and then you have a load of 1 stars. It's better to be consistent and have strong 2s throughout with a few 3s than have that broad gap. So if you can become very consistent at attacking, you'll do well in Legends.
Yeah, honestly, like, that's another awesome point too, especially with how big Legends is growing, is like how many of those 153,000 aren't doing 8 a day? Like if just doing 8 2-stars a day, like where does that put you in that 153,000? That's a question I want to know. All right, let's keep it moving. EDB well, they're adding 4 leagues with some version of modifiers. Lots of people have been asking about this. I think everyone's going to be pretty happy and pretty stoked.
Yeah,
I absolutely love modifiers. I've never actually done CWO and champs. I'm in a bit more of a casual clan with a non-full max lineup, but I think giving those higher end players where it is more difficult, the environment they're used to in ranked and Legends League is definitely a good way to keep things consistent. And I'm hoping personally that this is a hint that maybe we might see some modifiers come to regular clan war, because things there have not quite as competitive as it used to be.
I'm not sure if I'd want modifiers in regular clan war, I have to say.
I don't see an easy way to make that work. I don't know, but at least with adding leagues, They said, quote, the highest league will mirror the difficulty of Legend League, while selected leagues below it will introduce league-specific modifiers that create distinct competitive environments across tiers. So they're looking at higher CWL leagues. The highest league is going to be fought in Legends. And then the way they worded it makes me wonder if they're going to be doing like different modifiers, like specifically for CWL, separate than the ranked mode, expert, and the expert and master. I don't even know which one. I still don't know which one is which.
Surely not though, because I just think then you're just playing so many different games. It's kind of hard to keep track, especially if, for example, I know, for example, like the giant arrow will just join air defense on some modifiers, not others, and it's all inconsistent between the league and clan wars. I mean, at that point, how many different kind of difficulties do you have to adapt to? I can't see them diverting from the league modifiers, to be honest.
I think you're right. I think keeping the modifiers consistent, so it's the same set of 3 or whatever, is good, just to stop things becoming overcomplicated.
Yeah, and this could just be like whoever was punching this through Claude. It came out a little weird.
I mean, I almost think more than 4 leagues is probably needed, because if you think it was Town Hall 12 when CWL
Yeah.
first came out. Did we have champs from release, or did they?
Yes.
So we've had, what's that, another 5, 6 Town Hall levels come out during that time, and no new leagues. So you kind of think, I mean, I looked back at my clan's data, and we've been in the same league pretty much since the end of 2019. And you think that's a clan that's been active every single month for 6 years, 7 years, and stayed in the stage, basically treading water, staying at the same level. Kind of feels like you're not making progress.
Hopefully, it can make CW a bit more competitive as well for clans with more mixed town hall lineups or just lower town halls generally. Because obviously, champs is literally just whatever the highest town hall is, and then below that, it's just all so compressed and so scrappy, and you can dominate one league, promote, and then absolutely get shafted the next month, and that's not really a great system.
They kind of said the intention to adding leagues is like it's gonna create more leagues for those clans to kind of spread out. I don't think it's ever gonna fix the problem of like you match a clan that's gonna have a different town hall breakdown than you.
Yeah.
That is just gonna be an insurmountable war. That is gonna be a problem that's just inherent to the way CWL works and the way clans work. So you can't engineer out of it. I think a lot of clans are just going to shift a couple leagues up, which is cool. Like you're going to be getting more, more medals every month. But as far as enjoyment and being able to win wars and have competitive wars, if you're in a mixed town hall clan, not in the highest leagues of CWL, like you're still going to have kind of a hit or miss experience with CWL. And this isn't going to fix it, but I don't know that that's a fixable problem.
No, I mean, I often go into CWL with the strategy of saying to my clan, we don't want to win this month. We want to get second, because in the big picture, consistently getting second gives you more bonuses, more medals than getting first, promoted, getting absolutely stomped, getting demoted. And I kind of feel like that's a bit of a broken system where it's beneficial not to strive to be the best in your group.
Arsenal had a clan. That's how they play.
The other thing I wanted to draw attention to here before we move on was another quote. As part of this change, medal rewards will increase for most clans in the system, though rewards in some leagues may be reduced as the ladder expands and clans move into newly introduced tiers. So they kind of go on to say like, hey, eventually you'll get the same medals, but during the transition period, you're probably going to earn a little bit less. So just set your expectations now. Your medal income probably going to drop for a little bit, and then you have to earn your way back up to higher medal rewards.
So also, I just want to say, how actually is the new ranks gonna work? As in, will clans just get moved into them? For example, will Champs One clan just get moved up into whatever the new thing is? Or are you gonna have to promote up? Like, is there gonna be no one there initially, and then people have to promote up to it?
How do they transition for ranked? So with ranked, like people did get placed
Yeah.
in Legends, right? But like Legends already existed.
Mm.
I don't see them like just dropping people into the highest league, or like, I think it really sounds like they're talking about just adding more leagues and then
Yeah,
letting people promote into them.
which is a funny. I don't know. It's kind of funny that in the first few months there won't be any clans in the
Yeah.
highest league.
It's just an extra little bit of padding to work out the kinks, I guess.
Yeah, I wonder if they'll maybe promote more clans initially, just to sort things out a bit, because otherwise, especially those top ones are gonna have like no clans in.
We know they can dork with the promotion demotion rates because they've done it before. Like, the couple Februarys where we had shorter leagues, like more clans promoted and fewer clans demoted. And if you spin real late and you get put in like a smaller league, sometimes like no one demotes. So like there are mechanics built into the game now to adjust
Yeah.
that. So like, I'm sure whatever comes, they're gonna have a plan for it. And all right, so moving on to the big nothing burger or economy. We know this needs improvement, and we're gonna think about it more. Is all this kind of section really says.
I mean, that's better than saying, no, we're not going to do it and it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the problems with ore is just ore and equipment itself. Uh, I think the problem they're finding is they can't really promise anyone a great solution, because the entire thing people hate about the ore system and the equipment system is just completely fundamentally how it works. I mean, you're punished for not playing the game all the time and getting, the equipment. It's so hard to progress multiple equipment at the same time, actually try out new strategies. It's all designed to try and make you play the game all the time, which most people don't. It's so terrible. It's such a bad system, and I hate it.
Ore is designed to be a pain point because it's primarily a revenue thing. Like, ore and equipment brought a lot of really fun gameplay. Like, I don't think any of us would want to go back to like the old hero abilities, right? Like, equipment's kept the game really fresh. It keeps it changing, which is always fun. And all, like, we all love equipment. None of us like the roadblock of needing to save up ore but this they designed it to where you want to spend money. So like, to say like you need to fix the ore economy is it's this is the way it's supposed to be. Like, I not that I don't wish it was better.
Yeah, yeah, that's the problem. It's not actually broken for how it works.
I mean, you can reach a point, if you're very active, you can reach a point where you can keep on top of everything. But not everyone is going to be at the highest town hall level, earning the highest rewards from their league bonus, and they're not going to be warring all the time in order to be in that position. But so it's like, if it assumes you're playing as they want you to play, it does work, but that's not how people play.
It's balanced for players like me who play a lot daily. I do war constantly, and I buy event passes. And I have zero issues with or upgrading my equipment on a reasonably quick timeline. And that is just me playing daily and spending $5 a month.
But you are not most players at all.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is balanced perfectly for me, and I am not anywhere near representative of the average Clash player.
I think there's more than one issue here. Everyone always says we need more ore, but I feel like that's one part of it. We don't have enough ore, sure. Another part is we don't have enough ways to get ore, or we're not getting enough ore through those places like Clan War. But one thing I rarely see talked about is just how we use the ore, or how we have it. We have 3 different types of ore, and we have 2 types of equipment, one being exclusive for the shiny ore. Like, does that have to change? Should we change having 3 ore? Should we just have 1 ore? Should we not even have epic equipment? Should everything just be common, or everything have 18 levels? Does that part need to change? What do you guys think?
I mean, yes, but this is the problem, is that everything you just said, it's completely, that is how Supercell need it and want it to work for themselves, because that is how they make the money, that is how they keep engagement high. if, for example, if you if you merged all the 3 ores into just one ore, suddenly pain points are gone and people are less incentivized to spend money to fix the gap they've got. You get rid of epic equipment, suddenly people are less incentivized to do the events, to maybe spend gems on it later on. It's like, you're right, you're completely right. It's such a terrible system, but it's how Supercell, it's entirely how it's designed to work.
Yeah, I'll never forget a few years ago when they first showed ore in Finland. I turned to Reg. The first thing I said was like, "There's 3 different type of new resources now. Now we have 7 resources we got to keep track of, plus the builder base now and clan capital resources. It's just a lot."
Like I remember as we were talking to Vesa at dinner, we were just like counting on our fingers and toes, like how many different resources are in this damn game now.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
And also, I just want to say a fair point was just brought up in the chat, which is that also, which I did mean to touch on, new players are so shafted by the equipment and ore system. I mean, when you're not even there to buy half the equipment, I know you can often buy it at later dates, but it's not an exactly easy system.
Well, this is the position where we've got people who insist certain equipment are absolute trash and you should never get them. But then also they're the same people saying, "Oh, but I want all of them and I want them all maxed." It's like, well, you can't use them all at the same time. Some of these you're saying are so bad they're never going to see use at all. So maybe the key is just prioritizing. And I think there's definitely room for improvements to solve those things, but I don't think you need everything maxed.
No, but but then the problem is that when Supercell see people aren't using equipment much, which people consider not very good, they buff it, and then suddenly you need it. So there's never a scenario where you don't need all the equipment.
Not really. Like earlier this year, like Noble Iron got a buff, and still no one uses Noble Iron. Like Hog Puppet got a buff.
True.
I used Hog Puppet a little bit after it got a buff. I don't know, like, but the stuff like Vamp Stash never gonna get used. The Archer Puppet is never gonna get used. Like, so to say like, hey, like there's underused stuff that always gets buffed is like that's just not true either.
Okay, always isn't true, but there's always the risk that it might get buffed, and then suddenly
You can't get mad about things that haven't happened.
No.
Reddit likes to, but
yeah, you're talking to Redditors, man. Come on.
No, I'm just saying that, for example, if a new equipment comes out and you just think, "Oh, it's a bit rubbish, I'm not going to get it," there's a decent chance that in like a few months, not even Supercell.
I mean, I'm
buff it,
sure that's
a new
happened before.
Yeah, it has happened. A new meta strategy discovered for this thing, and you now need it. I just think there's going to be constant FOMO of thinking, I might need this equipment at some point.
Clash has always been a game where you can have everything maxed, and when things shift, when there's an update, like you're not that far off from maxing again, and it keeps you flexible when you're able to do that. And equipment changed that, at least for equipment. So if there's a new piece of equipment, you're 2 months off of having it maxed, and you don't. It's a
You don't need
it's a
max
really
equipment.
hard mindset for me to get into. Like we've had 3 years with equipment, or like 2.5, and I still can't wrap my head around like the fact that like this isn't something I can just drop 2 books on and now I'm caught up and maxed again. Or like Ninja says, like it's true that you don't need all this equipment maxed. I don't like not having everything maxed.
The whole point of the game is to max everything. It's Clash of Clans we're playing.
Yeah.
To be fair, you don't even need some of the equipment you actually used maxed. I mean, there comes a point where equipment is pretty usable even if it's not maxed, which I know is a weird mindset to get into, but I'm just saying you don't even actually technically have to max every piece of equipment you even want to use.
I think also like everyone wants to be maxed, but when you get there, like suddenly the game loses a massive dimension. You've spent years of thinking, got to get maxed. I mean, the rate of content for endgame players in the last year or 18 months has been brilliant. There's always been something to do. There's always been something to work on. I mean, there was points during, I think, like Town Hall 14 where we were getting focus on Builder Base 2.0 and the Clan Capital. And you'd have points where like endgame players would be no upgrades for 3 months maybe, and I knew people who were quitting because within 2 weeks of maxing out, because they're like, well, what do I do now? Like the thing I've been doing it's like the dog chasing a car, and it cashes it, like, well, now what? They've maxed out and they don't know what to do, and then they quit.
All right, let's transition on to our final topic before we do questions and get out of here. The second crafting season, are we calling them seasons? The second set of crafted defenses is coming to an end soon, right? Should be
31st, I think.
matter of days. If I pull up my game 5 days and 4 hours from right now, how does this second set stack up to the first, in your guys' opinion? Let's go as Ninja first as the guest.
I think we saw a nice variety of change from the first set. I mean, obviously the hook tower, I think, was the standout defense in season 1, just because it was so different to things we'd seen and could really make attacks interesting, both as a defender as an attacker. I think I was worried we were going to see some more bland stuff in season 2, but I think the hero bell's probably the more unique one. The fact that it doesn't actually do anything itself, it just buffs your heroes, which, if your heroes are upgraded and there's modifiers, can make them quite mean to face. But the others, like Bomb Hive, I think, for example, stands its ground as probably what I tend to see most commonly.
I really enjoyed this season. It didn't turn out like I expected. I was real big on Legend Bell. I thought we were only going to see Legend Bell every day, all day, 8 times a day in Legends. And then I thought, okay, like Bomb Hive is going to be everyone's normal war base. We're going to see Legend Bell, and no one's going to touch the light beam. I'm not even 100% sure on the name of it, but it is the light beam, right?
Yeah.
Because I've cared so little for it, and it's just like every single base I attack in Legends has been Bomb Hive. Occasionally, I do see the others, especially lately since the Dragon Duke came out. I'm seeing more light beams and I'm seeing more hero bells. But it pretty much it's been the Bomb Hive show is what it feels like in Legends. Comparing to the first season, I saw more diversity. It feels like in the bases I was attacking and the bases I would steal and use. So yeah, I don't know. Like overall, I'm pretty happy with round 2. I'm really looking forward to round 3. Ninja, I asked you to look up some stats. We don't have full API awesome info for the live game, but as a man who runs an upgrade tracker, you have some special insight into at least what your users are upgrading. So can you tell us some of the upgrade stats for the crafting defenses right now?
Yeah, so Rick and myself were talking the other day about this, and specifically about what people were upgrading and what we were seeing most commonly. So I thought, well, I'd look at the median upgrade level for each of the modules of the current season just to get a feel for what people were prioritizing. And generally speaking, across the board, we were seeing a median of like level 6 or level 7 for each of the modules, which I guess shows the point at which most people are saying, I've put enough time and resources into these modules to make them worthwhile and give more power and more defensive capabilities, while letting them focus on other areas which isn't temporary content. That led to us wondering, well, how does that compare to the first season? And surprisingly, because basically season 1 came out towards the end of Town Hall 17, where a lot of players would have been fully upgraded or on the last few upgrades, so they were able to focus strongly on these modules. But season 2 came out around the time of Town Hall 18 release, so there's a lot more incentive to put those seasonal upgrades on the back burner and focus on the permanent upgrades that are going to stick around, because we had a lot more stuff to work on. So with the median of season 2 being sort of level 6, level 7, I went back and looked into season 1, and season 1, it was pretty much all level 8 and 9. So that, and the upgrade times and costs remained consistent between the 2 seasons. So that shows that people have been steering away from them in season 2, most likely because they've got plenty of other Town Hall 18 permanent upgrades to focus on.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense, because I'm still disappointed that we had the same number of upgrades that took the same amount of time in between this season and the one before, because yeah, we were able to focus 3 builders exclusively on those ones in season 1, and for this time you had to make some tougher choices, like how much you're going to use your builders and your builder time on a temporary upgrade. I do wish my main wish moving forward is like that we do see that dynamically adjusted for these releases based on, just to make it a little more realistic to let us upgrade and fully enjoy them. And it's also surprising to see like what levels got upgraded this season as well. Again, like I just kind of missed.
If you looked at what the original schedule would have been, we would have seen season 2 start probably 6 weeks or so before Town Hall 18 came along. But due to the feedback, to be diplomatic, about crafted defenses, that led season 1 to get extended, so people had more time to complete them. And I think had there not been the complaints and pushback on it, and the original cycle had been left in place, we would have seen, people would have had those 6 weeks to focus on upgrading the season 2 stuff before the Town Hall 18 content drops, and then they could have almost put all of that stuff on the back burner, and we probably would see them at a higher level than we would have done based on how things panned out now.
Yeah, but I mean, they weren't locked in to that amount of upgrades and the cost and the time either. When they made that change to extend the seasons, like it should have also translated into adapting the upgrade times to fit the window of time that it was being released in.
Yeah, I guess maybe they could have been dropped to 7 or 8 levels maybe rather than 10, and that probably would have kept things in check accordingly.
Yeah, and then I think they got hung up on the fancy shop. I hate the name of that too. Like where, okay, now like we've created a shop and an incentive for people to do it, and like there would have been pushback if they were like, okay, like the next set of crafting stations has a lot less levels, so you earn less sparky stones, so you're that much further away from your builder skin. That's what you have to deal with when you create temporary systems like this. Like there's going to be pushback, and I don't know. It could have been done better, but overall, Bomb Hive was really fun, and it was less fun to attack into. I'm wondering how much my RC gets used again now that there's no Bomb Hives in 5 days. All right, let's go through some questions, and then we'll get you guys out of here. Will Supercell do more or catch-up events? We don't know. We can't say. But Ninja, do you think they should do more or catch-up events?
Yes, I do. I mean, I think a lot of people would be happy if the mini events were replaced with catch-up events like we had in, was it January? I think people missed the point of it, where they were focusing on just buying as many equipment as possible rather than treating it as a way to get additional ore to upgrade their existing equipment. But I think it was a step in the right direction having that event as we had it.
Yes. Yeah. Anything that's going to help players feel like they're making progress on the backlog of equipment they need to upgrade is a win. Like I like getting new equipment. Like I said, I am right in the sweet spot of players who can capitalize on the equipment that's being released at the pace it is. I will gladly sit on excess storages and use my dinky little prospector for 10 days a month. If it helps get everyone else further along on their equipment progress. So, speaking of though, how do you feel about the prospector?
So far, I've not used him at all at Town Hall 18. All of those accounts, it's a similar position to you, where I've pretty much got everything maxed, so it doesn't really matter. I'm holding off upgrading some of the Duke equipment just because I'm figuring out which ones need maxing first. But I'm sat on a ton of ore, so when I make that decision, I can plow through. I found it super useful at my lower Town Hall level villages, because contrary to what people say, at the lower Town Hall levels, you do often end up maxed on Starry, especially if you permanently war on them. So being able to take Starry and convert it to Shiny, which is often the bottleneck at Town Hall 12, Town Hall 13, Town Hall 14, it's actually really nice for that.
All right, next up. Each year since 2024, we had a collab event. Is a collab event this year likely? Again, if we know, we can't tell you, but we did just have a little kind of mini collab that got dropped on us by surprise with the GeoGuessr thing. Are you hopeful for another big collab, or do you think like more smaller things like that might be a little more realistic and fun?
It is cool to see the big collabs, especially when you see. I think the reaction is when you see people have almost like throwbacks to things from their childhood or the past, where they've grown up, but it brings back the joy that they had when they're younger, but also the influx of new players and seeing Clash covered in a positive way in the general media when gaming news and stuff reports on it. So it would be nice to see another big one, but at the same time, we probably don't want them too frequently just because you get fatigued.
You also like when they pick celebrities or whatever who actually do play Clash of Clans as a hobby. It's kind of nice to get that weird connection with someone who you never really thought you'd have a connection with. I mean, just off the top of my head, I remember the Haaland event. Haaland actually played Clash of Clans. It was like, oh, that's kind of, it's kind of cute in a weird, endearing way.
WWE, that one went off like gangbusters. I think everyone loved it. That probably takes a lot of work and a lot of coordination between two big organizations. So, I mean, I don't know how often they're going to be able to pull stuff like that off. It's great for the game. It's great for, like getting that reminder advertising out to everyone else. Like, hey, like come back to Clash. So, yeah, I hope we see a lot more of it too. All right. Storm wants to say, how's Ninja doing these days?
I'm doing good considering it's 3:15 a.m. on a Thursday, whatever day it is, and I'm sat chatting Clash. No, I'm very good, thank you.
All right, and then the same guy asked about or catch-up events, saying have creators voiced that we want more catch-up events instead of mini medal events.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much unanimous feedback as from what I've seen from creators. I mean, people like to think that creators are scared to say what they really think, and but it's not. No, like there's positive two-way communication about that.
Yeah, yeah. The misconceptions about what it's like to be a creator in those chats, like it's really casual at times. People have fun. Like it doesn't really get off topic much, but yeah, like people ask for that kind of stuff all the time. Like, hey, we want a better ore economy is a constant ask that creators from all over do voice. And yeah, that's gonna wrap it up there. Sam, do you have any shout outs?
Yeah, well, firstly, I'd like to shout out our missing co-host tonight, Liam, who very kindly, as I offhandedly mentioned, it was my mum's birthday on the 24th. I mentioned this a few weeks ago, and he, of being Liam, obviously came and sent me a happy birthday message for her a few days ago. So thank you, Liam, for that. Very appreciated as always. I chose for once to take it positively rather than weirdly. So you're welcome. And then also, sorry, 2 shout outs. I know I'm being greedy. I'd also like to shout out Trample Damage for somehow letting me stay in his clan still when I've been inactive lately. I will sort that out, and I'd just like to continue to say thank you, Tim. Yeah, that's mine.
All right. We got a mod who's taking a little sabbatical forest. So wherever you are out there, man, hope you're having a good time, and looking forward to getting you back later this year. Yeah, we all miss your presence and like yeah, Spencer's chilled out. Now Forrest is gone. Who am I gonna fight with? I need someone to step up and get into that role more.
Do you want me to start arguing more with you?
I mean, yeah. Like, dude, I'm gonna go soft without all these guys that are pushing back. All right.
The thing is, I just usually argue with you in private, and then I'd keep it more civil in public.
All right. Yeah, Ninja, do you have anyone you want to shout out? Say hey to?
I'm going to give you guys a shout out because I believe this is episode 100, and that is an absolute bonkers milestone to hit. Like 100 episodes is mad.
I'm glad you realized that.
I know. I totally biffed it. I was gonna mention that in the intro, and then I spaced. So good catch, Ninja. And like I don't know, because I shared our little document with you, so I don't know if you could decipher Liam's math at the top of this, but it is allegedly episode 100, depending on how you want to count, because
allegedly.
Yeah, we have had we have had arguments about how we count certain episodes. So, which is why like I didn't want to make a big deal about it being 100 because I don't know.
You
Liam
haven't
seems to
counted
think
This Week in Clash, have you?
no, I don't think we did because and then like we
Good,
also
'cause
called
that
like
doesn't count.
yeah when we had Jake from One Hive on like I called that like a bonus episode because we released it. I released it with another episode, so I don't know if he's counting that. He's apparently
Yeah.
counting it like the trailer and those weird 5-minute episodes we tried for a while. I don't know if those are wrapped in.
I'm
Like
not sure they count.
yeah, so he's got 3 different equations up here of episodes. So it's potentially
Yeah.
episode 100.
I'm trying to
Uh,
decipher this
Yeah, we're just
madness.
gonna, just hey, as a shout out to Liam, we're just gonna give him the win on this one. So episode 100, congrats to us. Thanks for pointing that out. And Clash Ninja, thank you so much for joining us. It's always
Yeah.
it's always great to have you on and talk to you. Thanks for doing this year after year.
Yeah, thank you as
Coming here
always.
and talking to us and several dozen other people.
And also,
If
this
you
definitely isn't the first time we've made you do a ridiculous time. I'm not sure how you keep getting, unfortunately, shafted by this, but yeah, it's very appreciated.
Well, no, thanks for having me on. I always enjoyed chatting with you guys, and it's a running joke that Rick says whatever time of day he sends me a message, I reply just because my sleep
You
patterns are so
do.
busted.
You
Yeah,
do.
it is.
I was saying that like as we were getting ready for this, I was like, Sam was saying how it's late for both of you, and I'm like, dude, I'll send Ninja a message when it should be his 4 in the morning, and I see his little Discord light turn green, and then I feel bad, but you're always like, no, I was just up. So, anyway, y'all. Use code Ninja, support this man. He has the best tracker, probably the only non-vibe coded upgrade tracker out there. I know there's dozens and dozens now. Gives real support. He's on Reddit day in and day out, answering questions, being kind, being a real bro. Solid, setting the record straight and not getting pushback somehow. I gotta get some lessons on that one. But yeah, it's a real pleasure to have you on as a guest and friend. And that's going to do it for Reddit Talks Clash. Thanks again. We're going to be back in a couple weeks.
Cheers,
Oh,
guys.
yes. Thank you, everyone.